All right, Tayla and Meghan, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having
Thank you
us.
so
We're
much for
excited.
having us.
Yes, yeah. So this is my first time having two guests on for those of you listening. And it's all done virtually. So if people are like talking over each other, it's because I'm just learning how to navigate interviewing two people at the same time. So bear with us, but this is going to be a really fun one. So before we get started into kind of your most recent business endeavor, I want to know how the two of you met because I have followed both of you on social media for like over a year at least. And I'm sure a lot of my followers know you as well and know your platforms. But how did the two of you get connected?
Who's going to answer this one?
I was gonna say you're both frozen, so I'll start and then Taylor, you can obviously chime in. So we met on Instagram, as I met Ronnie on Instagram as well, but we had the same business coach, Ray Gorman, shout out to Ray, for kind of like when we were figuring out whether we actually like had the confidence and the gumption to do working online with clients. So that's how we got connected originally, and then we've done a lot more like collaborating on different Instagram posts and things like that because we think very similarly with how we treat. And then most recently, obviously, what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, it was through the business mentor, and I remember coming across her in the community platform and then finding her Instagram, thinking, "Wow, she's genius. I love this girl." Like, truthfully admired the way that she thought, and like she had said, we kind of think in similar ways. And it was actually, truthfully, my Instagram was not a PT Instagram at this time. This was a time where I was very fresh into creating my own business in the PT world. And I actually think it was our first collab post, Meg, that then started the trajectory of the growth of my Instagram. And it was from that first post that then everything grew. So Meg is the reason that I am where I am today, I'd say.
Oh my God, stop. No, I'm not. But I mean, as you know, Ronnie, too, like that Instagram world or like anything online, like people are like, how do you go viral? Like you can't focus on that. And we can totally talk about that later. But it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
consistency. Taylor, consistency is the reason why you are doing what you're doing now. But collabs do
Facts.
help for sure. Yeah.
Yes, collabs do help. And I feel like, I don't know about you guys and if you agree, but the physiotherapy or physical therapy world online females, it's actually like kind of a small pool. Like I don't know, I
Yep.
maybe there are more creators than I'm aware of, but like I feel like it's a small batch, and so it seems very well interconnected. Like the people that I found on the podcast, the people that listen, everyone kind of knows the guests, and like people are going to know who you guys are, and I think that's really fun. And yeah, there's a lot of growth that can happen, but there is no recipe to success. I feel like I harp on that so much on this podcast. I'm like, there's literally like I can't tell you how to do it because everyone is going to do it a little bit differently.
Yes.
Right. And
And
I
that's the
always say
beauty
to
of it.
people,
Because if you're
Hmm.
yourself, that's the key.
Yes.
yes. Well, that was
What were you
exactly what
saying, Taylor?
I was going to say exactly that, because people are always like, how do you grow a following? And I think all of us started with the intention of not doing that. We just started by sharing our brain, and then by sharing our brain, it naturally just attracted an audience. There was no motive, at least for me, and I assume the same for you too as well, that I wasn't doing this to be like, oh my gosh, I want followers. It was more just like, I have a lot on my brain and I'm doing an online PT business, so I should maybe share that. And it was just
Mhm.
from there.
Yeah, exactly. And so online PT business, both of you have your own. Um, Taylor, yours is rebuild, and then Megan, yours is form and function, correct?
So Form and Function is my group training
Training.
subscription. So it's not rehab specific. I never really even used the name of my company, which is Impetus Movement and Rehab. I'm
Okay.
actually thinking about rebranding because I just never say it, but that's like what my website is and stuff. And when I work with someone one on one, that's what it's under. But Form and Function's like what people know about online because I never do any advertising for one on one.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then are either of you at this point treating anybody in person or is everything fully virtual?
I am treating people in person right now. It is extremely limited just because like postpartum, my baby's 4 months old and I'm still trying to figure out like how much in person I want to go back to. But before I got pregnant, I was seeing probably about 20% in person. And then the rest was online, one-on-one. And then of course the group stuff. That's, a lot more people, but that's a certain amount of my time too.
Mhm. Okay.
And I'm 100% online, and it's real nice.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So let's talk about the 100% online because you
Mm.
guys met online and now I guess Megan was saying right before I hit record that when she was about 4 months pregnant, Taylor reached out to her and was like, I have this business idea, which will be based online. So let's talk about how that got started.
Yeah. So when I started online, I came to learn that there's nothing really for us as PTs. I feel like it's this very popular or soon to be popular up and coming niche that sounds great, but a lot of people are very curious as to how do you even do that and what do you use? And stepping into the world, you come to realize that there's nothing for us. You know, we have to use an EMR system, we have to use a programming system, we have to use a scheduling system, a calling system, a communication system. And I remember just, setting all these things up thinking, this is stupid. Like, why is there nothing for us? There's something for everybody else in different fields. So in the back of my head, I always had this thought, I always have ideas. And one of these ideas was, well, maybe one day I'll just build one out for myself, but let's, step into this world first. And stepping into the world, you recognize a lot of pain points, and one of them being the lack of platforms that are specific to us. It makes your job that little bit harder. So I actually went out on my own little endeavor, reached out to a bunch of developers and just said, hey, this is my idea, this is what I want selfishly to make my job easier, to allow for my clients to have a more streamlined process, but two, recognizing that other PTs need this. This isn't just a me problem. So I commenced that process about 18 months ago, built out a prototype, and then I was like, damn, this is getting real. And it's a big investment. It's not a little thing at all. But I think the confidence in doing that came from the success that I had with my clients online and the lifestyle that it gave me, knowing the life that I used to live and other PTs live in the traditional run-of-the-mill type of PT world. So, you fast forward to, okay, let's commence development. And in the back of my head, I was like, I don't really want to do this alone. And truthfully, I just admire Meg, and I would be honored to have her do this with me or even just be a part of it in any capacity. So I kind of just reached out to her and was like, hey, super random. And at this point, and still to this day, we haven't met in person.
Someday.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, would you like to be a part of this? At any degree that you were willing and able. And she was like, yeah, I like it. Let's do it. And from there, we've kind of just partnered in terms of building a product that I think is going to allow PTs the ability to step online and get their life back, truthfully.
So cool. So basically, the company's called Rebuilder.
Rebuilder.
What you could expect is like, say I'm Ronnie, I have my in-person clinic, but I want to start offering virtual training and virtual physical therapy. This would be a place for me to have access to like an exercise library, scheduling, messaging patients, I guess probably payment processing and documentation too, like pretty much all encompassing.
Correct. Yeah, you can do everything within the platform itself. Communicate, program, track, schedule. And I think too, the one thing that Meg and I, gosh, wish every program had is voice memo. We hate typing when you're online. It has voice memo, thank God. So it's one of those things that combined all the softwares, but also me and Meg were just like, what do we hate right now with all the softwares that we currently use? And we just addressed all of those pain points as well.
Meg, was this something that you were already toying with or thinking about, or at least had some of the same complaints?
Yes to the same complaints. Absolutely not toying about. I mean, I guess I was like, man, I wish this existed, but I am not like Tayla in that I wasn't going to think like, oh, I'm going to just create this. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like a lot to take on. But not as much when you have someone that you're actually like supporting. Like, I am very much like the type B, like I'm the teammate in this. I'm not like the leader, which I actually really love because usually I'm the opposite. I'm like the one in charge. So I've absolutely loved just like supporting her and being a sounding board and just giving my 2 cents. Just because it's a huge endeavor to take on, especially if you don't know. I mean, I know it's going to be extremely successful because it is exactly what people need. And are we talking about the directory aspect, Tayla?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
we
About
haven't.
that? Or okay, so that's
You
something
can
else
speak.
that I think will be huge because a lot of the time, people's biggest barriers to online is like they don't know how the process works. They don't know it exists, or they don't know how the process works, or they're just like not really sure about the legalities of it or anything like that, which we go over on the Rebuilder, like the mentorship aspect. But having, I'm not going to say that it is completely and totally necessary to have a massive, huge following to be able to sustain a business online, but it is definitely helpful to have, leads, and that's going to be generally online. You can meet people in person too, of course, but the pool of online is a lot bigger. And one thing that we're offering with Rebuilder is for you, if a clinician, say, Ronnie, you want to start your online business and you specialize in something and you're going to label yourself as such, you're going to be in the directory of, physios on Rebuilder that is under that category, and you're going to have your own profile so that clients or potential clients can also be on the Rebuilder site and see like, oh, I want a PT that does this. I can see their social media. I can see what they've done. I can see how they like, would we vibe the same? So that's something that I think is really unique and just really great, because I personally, like, I'm certified under ICE Physio for pelvic, and I will refer people if I think that they need in person, I will refer them to the ICE Find a Clinician website, which has a database of people all over the country that have been certified or at least have taken courses, just because I know if you know what people have learned and you know what people are about, then it's a little bit easier to, go down that rabbit hole of seeing if they're the clinician for you.
Got it. You mentioned the legality part of it, and I did want to touch on that because I think a lot of people coming into it from like a very strictly PT perspective, like wanting to follow their state practice act and act and practice within the scope of their practice, they're going to be like, well, how can I provide PT treatment if I'm seeing somebody virtually across state lines? And I'm sure that's something that you guys go over in the mentorship program, but what's your answer to that?
Yeah, good question, and a question that everybody asks. And recognizing that, I actually brought in a lawyer. So I have a lawyer that has, to give context, we've also built out a mentorship because we recognize that while this is an appealing idea, nobody knows how to do it. There's a software, but how do I actually run my business? So we're building out a mentorship that basically is like a business in a box. Hey, this is how you set up your business. These are the legalities. This is how the workflow. This is how you market. This is how you create content. This is how you get leads, all of it. And part of that is the legalities side of it. And I've brought in a lawyer to speak to that specifically, which is shared with everyone that will be part of the mentorship, but to speak to it at a high level. We recommend taking what you'd call like a rehab coaching approach. So rather than labeling yourself as a physical therapist, you rather take the rehab coaching approach and you just avoid specific verbiage. You don't want to be diagnosing or using specific words to which would imply you are their physical therapist, but rather just take a holistic coaching approach. Now, does it change the way in which you manage people? No. Can you assess people? Yes. So it's very much just being strategic in the way that you'd word things. I don't know if there's anything you'd add to that, Meg.
Yeah, no, you would. And what kind of like Sam Vanderwielen, that's the lawyer who has her own really great podcast for business owners. She's who we had designed this like resource for the legalities aspect. And she basically says like, if you are working with someone online, you are essentially, your scope is as a coach, not a physio. So again, you just have to be careful with your wording. And what's very interesting is I feel like there's a lot of people who are not physios, who are coaches, who sometimes, honestly, sometimes I'm like, wow, you did not spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on school and you are doing amazing and you are helping people just as much as like a lot of physios in some ways. So, we're all pissed off if we spent a lot of money on our education and our letters behind our name, which I think are extremely, we should be proud of that. But there's a lot of people that are doing, like, the lines are blurry a lot of the time, especially online. And while that's kind of annoying, it's just the reality of things. But I think that I just think it's the future, honestly. Like, I think there's going to be just blended models a lot of the time. Like, even cash-based, like as a physical therapist, cash-based, you probably have some clients that are more like preventative than like have an active injury. So that's kind of the way that we do things too. Plus, with the way that we both work is we're not just doing like rehab and an HEP, we're actually doing their entire programming, because a lot of the time, we were literally just talking about this, a lot of the time someone's problem, they might have a certain injury, but their problem is actually like a volume thing or just like an overall programming thing. And so with this being able to work online, you can actually influence all of that too.
Yeah, that's funny. You kind of just like answered my question without me even asking it, but I was going to ask the benefits that you guys see, because Tayla, did you work in person when you were in Australia?
Yep.
Did you? Okay, so you guys have both worked like in person, traditional PT clinic setting somewhat, and then now you are like online, which is a totally different ball game. What would the benefits be that you would say just online versus in person?
I love this question. I
Go
speak to
first.
this all the time because I'm so passionate about this. The way that I explain it to everybody is, look, as a whole, the PT world saddens me a little bit because one, and speaking to Americans, you guys spend a lot of money on your degree, and then you come out with the ability to make something that doesn't equate to what you're in debt for. That blows my mind. You're doctors. And then second to that too, to make that money, you need volume. So we have a healthcare system that says, okay, you need to make us money. So to make more money, you need to see more people. To see more people, you need to reduce your face time. You reduce your face time, you just treat symptoms because that's the only thing you can do in 15, 30, 40 minutes with somebody that comes to you with 1,001 problems. So what I love about the online model is one, how asynchronous it is. So I get my time back while still being able to treat people. Two, it gives me the time to actually invest into the things that matter, and that is actually understanding the person and not just the injury. So the way in which this model it allows is for you to spend the time understanding the important stuff, their lifestyle, what's going on beyond the injury. You know, Meg and I are very big on understanding the full picture: stress, work, diet, sleep, all the things that encompass pain, not just, oh, your knee's in pain, let's look at your knee, let's release the quad, let's try needle the quad. You know, it's zooming out and looking at the whole person. I think that, coupled with the way in which Meg and I program, and that is combining both rehab and training, I just have had incredible client outcomes, and I now have found my niche in that I treat people that have seen all the providers and just haven't had answers. And I think what I do is quite simple, and it works for them. And I remember initially stepping into it, I was like, "Damn, I'm bold going for the ones that say that nothing has worked." And once I had a few come back and be like, "Wow, like I'm feeling incredible," it's like, "Damn, this really does work." And I think that's what kind of drove me to really push for this space and create a platform and teach people, because like this isn't a money thing to me. I'm not going into being like, I want to make lots of money. It's like, this works, and this traditional system, I think, doesn't, or it doesn't do a good job of it, and it doesn't use our knowledge to the best of what I feel is my ability. So I'm like, let's build this space. But I think there's plenty more
Yeah.
Meg could add.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, obviously, Ronnie, you work cash based, but you live in Chattanooga, which is, it's not a big city, but there's people there that will seek out your care. Some people aren't living in a place that has that, they're not going to have enough people for a cash based in-person practice, just to have you need less volume in that way, which is good because it's also better care. But sometimes people just they're not living in the right place. So that's another benefit to online, is that your pool of people that you can help, it's all over the world. Like I think I have clients on every continent, honestly, which is crazy.
That's amazing.
I've
I love
never
it.
thought about that actually, but yeah, it's really cool. And what's also great is, like, basically, I agree 100% obviously with everything Tayla just said, but just the number of touch points that you get with someone when you're
Yeah.
working remotely with them. Like, I mean, I don't want to say I work 24/7 because that's not the goal whatsoever. But you're able to asynchronously or synchronously, like, used to kind of calls with people too, but you're able to communicate with them on a regular basis, which just allows you more to dig a little bit deeper, with conversations that don't necessarily need to be in live time. So obviously, when you work in person with someone, in your setting, you get a lot more time and you get to really get to know the person. But say you're in like a PT mill, you don't have time to like get to the bottom of things. Half the time you're not even seeing the person. It's like someone else, or sometimes they rotate clinicians completely every time. So
Right.
it just really allows you to work without as many restrictions. There's also no, insurance visit cap in that aspect or things like that. I mean, so those are some other benefits that I was just going to touch on because Taylor hadn't
Yeah.
mentioned them yet.
And I
Yeah,
think add
100%. Go
to,
ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say,
No, go
to
ahead.
add to that too, my own experience. So prior to being a physio, I had chronic back pain for many, many years, and I experienced the traditional physio world, and I felt really let down by it because I felt that your traditional PT doesn't cater to very fit, active people. You know, I was going there, I was getting massage, manual therapy. They were getting me doing very low load work, but I was still going and lifting 250 pounds every day. And nobody took the time to look at my program. And I remember in that moment, I was like, I don't need like an hour with this person every 2 weeks. I just need them when things are bad or when I'm in the gym to know what I can and can't do. I just want guidance. I don't need them for an hour to do all these random things. And I think that's the benefit of this, is that people have you when they actually need you, rather than, hey, I have an hour appointment with you, but then I have a flare up the next day. I've got to wait until I get in with you 2 weeks later. Whereas this system, oh, you have a flare up today? Cool, you have me today. Let's get on top of it, do this, I'm changing your program, you get into the gym. And then their recovery is so much faster because we can get on top of it so much quicker.
Yeah, once again, just like literally delivering me into my next point. I was going to ask, like, with my caseload that I'm seeing now, compliance is really not an issue. Rarely is it ever an issue, because people are seeking out Rehab with Ronnie. Like, they are active individuals, they're motivated, they have some baseline level of fitness or some sport that they're trying to get back to, and they are recognizing that they're paying a premium for like a premium service, right? Like, we have 90-minute evaluations, 60-minute treatment sessions, similar to you guys, like ongoing communication with them. And so they're really motivated to get better. And I don't really have to like convince anybody to come back to physical therapy, but it didn't used to be that way. Like, when I worked in the PT mill, it was a task. Like, you almost had to overschedule people because you knew that they would cancel. I'm curious, was compliance ever something that you were worried about, or do you ever fear that people aren't following the programming, or do people kind of find you and they're already in that same boat as my clients where they're super motivated?
Do you want to go,
Who's
Taylor? Or
first?
you want me to? Okay,
I'll say, yeah, you go.
yeah, I will say the one issue that I don't mean it is an issue, because it's a lot of the time it's why people have never gotten better, is that when you have a premium service and you are, it's an online service, a lot of the time you're attracting people who their problem is not they don't want to exercise. Their problem is that they exercise too much. And so the problem that I generally will have with clients is that they don't, and this is not a regular problem, but the clients that tend to not get better are the ones that do extra when I'm taking over all of their programming, and we're trying to, like, kind of control. It's a controlled environment. It's like an experiment. You have all these external factors. That's the one issue that I will say can happen, but all that takes, and eventually some of them do get better, because we have the conversation of, you can't be adding all these extra things and then like wondering why things aren't working, because it's a learning opportunity. Like, people don't realize that a lot of the time, especially if they're over exercising for a reason that, maybe they're trying to run from something that's not related to exercise whatsoever. And so that's, a conversation on, hey, maybe we need to collaborate with another type of therapist that could touch on those things too. So I think just being able to, like, really get to know the person is a huge, huge factor in being able to be successful in this environment, for sure.
Yeah, and I would add to that too. I think that's probably not even specific to online. That exists whether we're online or in person, the
Totally.
overtrainer. They are anywhere. But I would say to compliance working online, what has blown me away is how compliant my clients are. Maybe I'm lucky, but mine are incredible. I truthfully don't think I've really had one that hasn't been compliant. They are so on time, do everything I say. And I think the beauty of the online system is that you get to pick your clients. You don't just take what you get. You get the opportunity to pick your clients, create your niche, attract the people you want to work with. And then the beauty too of the way in which Meg and I combine programming is that people are coming to us who are avid fitness goers. It is normal for them to show up to the gym every day. So the beauty of what we do is we say, okay, well, let's give you something that you're already doing, but be very intentional and strategic with it so that it's actually getting you out of pain rather than putting you in pain. So there's no additional tasks really that they have to do. It's like doing something they've always done. So I think that's why compliance is so great in this setting, or at least for me.
Right. No one's coming to you like, hey, I've never exercised before. Or maybe that happens sometimes, but for the most part, they're like, I'm already a gym goer. These are my issues. And me as a gym goer, if I was paying for a service like an online rehab or training program, I would be that much more motivated to make sure I'm doing my shit because I'm paying for it, you know?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly right.
So cool. Megan, earlier you were like, I think this online rehab space is the future. What did you mean by that? Do you think that that's going to be something that more in-person clinics start to kind of make hybrid, or something else?
Yeah, well, I know for a fact that they have like the remote monitoring. They're trying to implement that in a lot of insurance-based clinics, which is, have you heard about that?
I, I nodded my head, but then I was like, I don't know what she's talking about.
Okay, I was like, oh, you seem like you know. Okay, so I don't want to speak to it too much because I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I remember when I was working in clinic, they were trying to implement this remote monitoring essentially where you're going to make like, it was a little bit more money every month on each client, but essentially you would have it so that they basically, it was like a compliance type thing for their HEP. So they had access to the app. It was like through MedFridge probably or something like that, and it was essentially like they would check the box if they were doing their HEP. They'd be able to message you, and like a PTA would be the person that would like be the responder to the patient or whatever. So I mean,
Okay.
it's a good idea, but PTs who are seeing 20 patients a day are not going to want to have extra work. Like it's just not going to work.
No.
So the reason why I think it's a future is because the number of people in our profession, unfortunately, who get burned out and want to start their own thing is increasing. But not everyone, like I said before, like not everyone lives in a place where in person is feasible, because you can blend it too. Like I blended my practice and it's, less blended than it was just because I am enjoying having the freedom to care for my own daughter and not have to go somewhere to work every day. But I think people will start to, I think you can scale your business more and make it more sustainable faster if you're doing things online, just because the pool of potential clients is larger and the people that want to work with you specifically is larger. But it's right now it's like this daunting, like, seems like a faraway goal because not that many people are doing it and doing it successfully. And I think Tayla and I are both doing it successfully. And I think the fact that we are both very much normal people, super normal people, and the fact that we have our own experience. We both had a business coach. You can pay thousands of dollars for a business coach too, which I would recommend for someone if they really think that they need that, just like that, like hand holding, but they're not going to do the work for you. And so just getting the confidence that you have the ability to do this, and in having systems and having a community that you can access and communicate with, I think that's going to be what moves the needle forward. Because I mean, I talk to PTs all the time that are just super burned out, and it sucks to, instead of, working orthopedic that you wanted to be doing, your whole life and your whole time that you were in PT school, you end up doing, home health for multiple different companies because you want to be PRN and make enough money to live comfortably. And I just think there's other avenues, and I think that they're emerging.
I agree. Tayla, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, so many things to add. I think the thing that blew my mind was while Meg and I knew that this was an incredible space because we lived it and breathed it, and to add to the benefits, one, we got our life back in the sense that I can go sit by the pool and program. On a Wednesday, I can go sit by my pool at 1 p.m. while everyone's stuck in clinic till 7 p.m. I don't miss doing that at all. And then the beauty too is that you can actually make the money that you deserve. I think, PTs work long and hard to be where they are, and they deserve an income that reflects that. And unfortunately, the traditional model does not compensate people well. So I think that's incredible. But I would say, I think I just lost my train of thought of where I was going. Remind me of the question. Oh, the space. What excited me? Yes. Back to reality. What excited me was I knew that this was going to be a great concept, but I didn't know the public interest. And Meg and I did a very, I'd call it like a soft launch, where we put it on our stories maybe twice, just saying, hey, if you're a PT that's burnt out, you're interested about the online model, you want to know more, leave your email. And I think her and I each did maybe 2 separate stories that was up for 24 hours. We have over 1,000 emails, which I saw them
Wow.
I had a mental goal of like, it'd be so cool to get 20 people on before we launch. 1,000. And then so I
That's
was like,
incredible.
wow, we kind of need to refine that because I don't know how to handle that many. So we ended up creating this application so that we could get serious applicants that were genuinely really wanting to learn. And we're going to run a free mentorship for these people first, basically to say, hey, we're going to just spill all our info to you for free, get you on the platform, and give us feedback. Like, we've answered our own pain points, but they're pain points we've missed. But I think just seeing that traction so early made me go, whoa, okay, cool. This might be bigger than I thought.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I have like the greatest pulse on the online like virtual rehab space, but I do have a good pulse on like how frustrated people are feeling and how many people are feeling inspired on based off of what I'm doing, what you guys are doing. And I just think it's really exciting and neat the fact that you have an all-in-one platform, but then also the fact that you're offering the mentorship, because I think that's like a huge missing piece. And I harp on this a lot on the podcast. Like, find your mentor. Doesn't matter who it is. I mean, it does matter who it is, but it doesn't matter like specifically which program you go through. But if it's tied into you guys and what you found to be beneficial and what you think is going to be helpful, I think that's just even better. Like that, I think that makes the whole entire thing that much more robust.
Yeah. Well, and the other cool part, or at least I think it's cool, is that it's very much grassroots. Like we grew this from the ground up. I mean, I feel like I know what I'm doing now, but also not. It's kind of like parenting. You'll find this out soon.
Yeah.
4
Yay,
months in,
soon.
I think I kind of have a few things figured out. Maybe she's still alive, so that's good. Um, but like, I feel like it's very accessible because we both built our social media and our client rosters from nothing. Like we didn't pay for followers. We don't, have any like crazy just plan even. I mean, I don't know. I want to make it sound like I know what I'm doing, and I do, but we're just real people,
Yeah.
we're not like people are like us. If we can do
Yeah.
it, you can do it. That's basically what I'm saying. If I can do it, you can do it, is essentially what I'm saying.
Yes. And I
So
think that makes it seem a lot more attainable for people and like a much easier pill to swallow. I think if you look at like your following, Megan's, Tayla's, mine, people, I think it's easy to get intimidated and be like, oh, I need this big following if I'm going to have any sort of online like authority, I guess, and get clients. So maybe speak a little bit on that, because I don't think that's necessarily the case. I always talk about how my social media has nothing to do with my business success. Maybe a little bit, but not a ton. But I'm sure it correlates a little bit more with online. But yeah, let's touch on that.
well, just to say real quick, I feel like your personality and your brain comes out so well on your page, and that is why you're successful in what you're doing. Your
Thanks.
personality and your like creativity, which we get to see. We're so fortunate to see on social media. But um, now I lost my train of thought.
If
Oh,
people like don't have a following and are interested in like getting there.
yeah, you don't, I mean, it definitely does help to have, more leads and more. It sucks because people think automatically that you're credible if you have a large following. But I will say this because Taylor and I were talking about this the other day. There are people out there who literally will go on the Discover page, find a reel that is viral. A lot of the time it's Taylor's because she's just got such a great aesthetic. It's probably yours too, honestly. And just take it verbatim, word
Yeah.
for word, same video with their body instead of like Tayla's. I mean, it's just crazy to me. And my clients, I've had 2 clients now that have sent me a video from this one PT. I don't even remember what her name is. And I wouldn't say it anyway because that's mean. But
I was like, oh,
my
spill the
client,
tea.
my client sent me this video and I was like, why can't I see this? Why is she private? And then I was like, oh, it's that person I blocked because it pissed me off that she stole Taylor's content. Um, and that happens more often than not. And people do it all the time. And people who have large followings do it too. Like the small followings, they often won't be on the Discover page, but like sometimes it's people with like millions of followers and probably all of their content is stolen. And that's not to say
That
like
makes me
people
sad.
I know, me too. I'm like, wow. And people just like the clients have no idea. And that's not to say that like everyone's brain is totally unique. Like obviously people could think of the same concept, but when it's like exactly the same post and exactly the same words, like there's no shame. It's crazy to me.
Right.
But that's what I was going to say is just because you have a large following does not mean you know what the heck you're talking about. And plus people who have large followings, sometimes they don't even like answer DM questions or things like that. Like it gets a little overwhelming sometimes, but I try to get back to everyone in a DM if it's a legitimate DM. Um, and it definitely helps to have leads, but at the same time, you can build it from the ground up. Like I started with very few followers and I just kept consistently posting things that people thought were valuable. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. So I just think you just have to consistently post, consistently put out valuable content. And if you're working with people, you're already creating valuable ideas because you're working with clients. So just like translate that into a post. And it
That's a great
becomes
idea.
easier. It becomes easier once you've been doing it. I know it's intimidating. Like the first time I made a reel, I remember like it like broke my brain and it was so bad. But now
Same.
it's easy. And now reels don't even like no one sees my reels now anyway, which is so annoying.
I don't know
Or
what
if I like
Instagram's doing. Yeah.
oh, it's so obnoxious. But also I'm like I don't really care at this point. I just keep doing it anyway
Yeah.
because it's it's going to be
Because
very nice.
consistency. That's why.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And I would add to that as well. Followers you do not need a large number of followers to get leads. Because if you think about it, right, we only have a capacity to take on a certain amount of clients. I mean, I never exceed 25 people at any one time. If you've got a few hundred followers, surely there's 25 buyers in there. And I know so many people in the online space, not just in the PT world, but in many different functional nutrition, naturopathy, online, just personal training that have few hundred to a few thousand that make a whole lot more money than I do too. And they don't need a large audience. They just need to have a platform to which shows their brain, build trust, build rapport. And I think the beauty of having a platform that shows what you do, how you think, what you treat, then creates people that are ready to work with you. Because I remember when I first started and I was bringing in leads and I'd jump on a discovery call, which was initially taught to me by a business mentor to be a sales pitch. So he had this pitch that he had ready. But these people would jump on and be like, yep, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, oh, I didn't need to convince you or anything. And then
Yeah.
I realized that it's because I have a platform that they can learn to trust me through that before they even speak to me. So use that to your advantage. Like use that to build trust. Save yourself that hour of trying to build rapport and let them learn that through your platform. And it doesn't matter how many people are followers on there. Like you realistically don't need thousands because that's not how many you're working with.
Yeah. Such a great point. I mean, end of the day, your social media pages, whether that's TikTok, whether that's Instagram, Threads, that is your main marketing platform for anybody that is like Gen Z, millennial, that is trying to find you and figure out more about you. Like they're going to do that before they Google search you. So make it, I say, like represent your personal brand, your brain, to Tayla's point, and be resourceful for people, because if you're a resource, then that will foster trust, and then they're gonna be that much more likely to be like, hey, actually they have this online product, they have this service that they're offering, and I think I already know this person, I feel like I know them, so that's a trusted customer right there.
Yeah, and I would add to that as well, and to extend on Meg's point, people are always asked, how do you get followers? And my first piece of advice is be authentic. Like Meg said, don't just copy this viral stuff in the hope that you gain followers. Be authentic, be true to your own thoughts and share them, because all of my videos that go quote unquote viral are the ones where I'm sharing unconventional thoughts that internally I've always thought this, but I'm like, oh gosh, this is a bit against the grain. This isn't trendy. This isn't what's going viral. And they're the things that actually take off because it's real.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I think when I look back on the like trajectory of my following, because beginning of last year, I had like 500 followers on Instagram, and that was fine. And I was just posting about whatever I was posting about. But when I started to bring people along the journey of like, hey guys, I quit my job, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna figure it out. People, they eat that up because that was really what was happening in my life, and I was being genuine about it, and I wasn't copying anyone's content. That's crazy that people do that. I didn't even know it was that deep, but
Yeah, watch out.
yeah, I gotta stay vigilant.
But also, like, the cream is going to rise to the top. So, as much as it makes me mad, I'll just block them. I won't comment usually, but because
She does for me sometimes.
people that aren't genuine, like, it's okay. It's okay if they copy you. It's the greatest form of flattery.
That's
and
what they
obviously
say.
don't have any like knowledge to back it up because they just stole it from you. So, yeah, but it's crazy.
No,
Wild
that
world
is,
out there, guys.
it is indeed. So this rebuilder is going to be launching within the next few months, correct?
Correct.
Okay. where can people find out more about it? Are you taking more applications at this time, or are we kind of closed book and just in the trial periods?
Great question. So I would say probably closed book for now, but in saying that, we will have a Instagram website live very soon. I'd like to say that it'd be live by the time this is live. So through that, they will then find more information. They'll be redirected to the website. The website will have a great overview of what the app is for, how to join the mentorship, and then be redirected that way. But also feel free to reach out to me, DM me, message me. I speak to so many PTs that are just curious and want to understand more, and I'm more than happy to speak to you and chat it out.
Awesome. Love it. And then you can also go follow them on Instagram. It's, I think, Tayla Cannon Physio and Dr. Meg C. DPT. I know your handles so well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
of
thank
course.
you.
Before we finish, I'm going to ask, I decided that I'm going to start this trend. I'll ask 2 questions. We'll see which one I include in the podcast. Number 1, if you could go back to your PT school self, what would you say? And number 2, if every time you walk into a room, a song starts playing for the rest of your life, what is the song?
Oh gosh.
Oh God, I'm gonna definitely choose the first one because I have no
Same.
idea. I hate that. It's like, what's your
Okay.
favorite movie? I hate those questions. I'm like, that depends on my mood. Like,
Fair,
is
so
it
fair.
country?
Yeah, there's
Is it
so many
rap? Is it-
genres.
Yeah, seriously. I would say to my PT school self that, and I feel like when I started PT school, I had already been working clinically. Like I was an athletic trainer for 6 years, working in clinic mostly before I became a PT. So I feel like I kind of had a leg up on a lot of things. But I would say you do not have to know all the answers. And it is important that you communicate that to your client. And it's not a bad thing to not know. It's actually a good thing because that means you have things to learn and you can grow alongside your client. You know, you're still able to help them even if you don't know the answer to everything, even if you make mistakes. Yeah, so that's what I would say.
I love that. Taylor, what
Yeah.
about you?
I would say trust yourself. I remember going through my clinical rotations, particularly working in the private practice, thinking, oh my gosh, I know nothing. How am I going to step out and do this? But the minute I started to just trust myself and recognize, hey, you've been studying this for so many years, and this person in front of you does not know a single thing that you know. Anything that you can share with them is going to be helpful for them. And then I think once you have that confidence within yourself, the way in which you treat changes drastically. So trust yourself. You know more than the person in front of you. Even if it feels very, very insignificant or small, that's a difference that you're making to them that they can't make themselves.
I love it. Thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been lovely. I know that everybody's going to enjoy it, and I feel like I learned a lot.
This
Thanks
was
for
so
having
fun.
us on, Ronnie.
Yay. Yeah, we should. Until next time.
Until next
Yes.
time, guys.